Hi, it's Nurse Wendy back again. And I told you last time that we were going to learn more about wearing face coverings. And that's what I want to talk about today. This is something that is really controversial right now in our environment. And I wanted to talk specifically about how we work with children around that. And I mean children, from tinies all the way up to, I have children and they're 26. So it's important we also are sharing with our children and with one another the appropriate way to use face coverings. So I'm going to start with my hand sanitizer. It's really important when we're going to be talking about putting anything near our face, a face covering, that our hands are clean before we do that. It's also important to recognize that when we are putting a face covering on, we want to just be touching the loops or the ties. And when we put it on our face, it's going to cover our nose and our mouth and our chin. So it's going to look like that, right? Our face covering should fit snugly around our face, but not be too tight. I'm going to take my face covering off now to show you something else. When I take my face covering off, again, I'm only using the loops and I'm going to be folding it in half. One of the things that's going to happen in schools is we're going to take our face coverings off so that we can eat and drink. And so we want to make sure that our face covering's in a safe spot. So I'm going to use this clip right here, and we'll have clips and different kinds of tools that students can use so that they have their face covering right with them when they need it. It doesn't fall on the floor, and they can find it when they need it again. Now, if we have a face covering that does not fit us, it's uncomfortable, and it's not going to work for us. So this is an example of a face covering that is too small. I can barely get it on. It hurts my ears. And if I make any faces at all, it falls right off my face. When you have a face covering on that fits you, you should be able to make all kinds of silly faces and the face covering stays right where it needs to be. As the COVID response coordinator, one of my jobs is to look at the guidance from the Oregon Department of Education, but also the guidance from other places like the CDC. So I'm going to talk about when our children need to wear face coverings and when they don't. The Oregon Department of Education Ready Schools Safe Learners Guidance talks about, in schools this year, children who are in grades kindergarten through 12 will wear face coverings. The CDC advises us that if you are 2 years old and older, you can wear face coverings. You should wear face coverings when you're within 6 feet of one another. You should wear face coverings when you're inside. When children are in their own homes, in their households, they don't have to wear face coverings. When they're playing outside of 6 feet from other people, they don't have to wear face coverings. Outside in a crowded place where they're within 6 feet, they should wear face coverings. They don't need to wear your face coverings when they're eating and drinking. A lot of those same rules apply to adults as well. It's important to make sure we understand when our children don't need to wear face coverings so that they can have that break. We have talked about helping children understand why we wear face coverings and how we wear face coverings. There's other things we can do to help them actually feel comfortable. So just giving them a chance to choose their face covering. If you're creative and you're making face coverings, making a face covering a matching one for their favorite stuffed animal. Coloring face coverings in coloring books. Really simple things like that. Helping them start wearing face coverings for shorter amounts of time, maybe when they're distracted watching a television show. Helping them as they get to wear their face coverings longer, doing that at a time when their hands are busy so they're less likely to touch their face. If you're in the grocery store, give them something to carry so they have their face covering on but they're not touching their face. One of the things that is concerning for all of us is that we can't see one another's faces when we have a face covering on. So I was reading a children's hospital writing about this, and they said, play a game with your children and see if they can tell what your emotion is by just looking at your eyebrows. And I thought that was so clever. Children love to play. We need to figure out how to play with our children so they feel more comfortable with their face coverings. Enlist your child's help, being responsible. Maybe your youngest ones can be your face covering monitors and remind everybody they need their face covering before we get in the car. I am sure that there are those among you, myself included, who have been out of my driveway when I thought, I don't have my face covering. An older child might be able to help younger children with their face coverings. Our children are capable of wearing face coverings. They're capable of doing it safely. They're capable of being part of the solution. And what we model is what they're going to hear and they're going to see. If you have someone in your family who is going to struggle with a face covering, please reach out to me so that we can talk about how to make that easier on everybody. I'll be coming back with you again next week. I haven't heard any questions from you, so I'm waiting so that I can have more information. I think information is going to make us feel better during this. Thanks.